I'm Fred James. You probably know me as the owner of Fast Freddy's. The purpose of this presentation is to familiarize you with the Fast Freddy's Weber systems. I will show you that the Weber carburetor, though it seems complex, is really no more difficult to adjust than other carburetor systems. The two carburetors most commonly used on performance systems are the DCOE side draft, which is horizontally mounted, and the 48 IDA downdraft, which is vertically mounted. The system we will be working with is the 48 IDA or the V8. Our objective is to acquaint you with the makeup of the carburetor, the assembly and installation of the system, and the techniques of fine-tuning your system. Here we have a 48 IDA two-barrel downdraft carburetor that's commonly used on the V8 systems. We have the main fuel system, the idle system, the accelerator pump system, the main chokes, which are sometimes called venturis, the auxiliary venturis, the float, the needle and seat with the carb top, and the velocity stacks. These are the primary calibration parts in a 48 IDA carburetor. These are the main chokes, the main fuel jets, the air correction jets, and the emulsion tube. The main jet meters the amount of fuel, the air jet the amount of air, and the air and fuel are emulsified in the emulsion tube. This is the air jet for the idle system, and this is the idle jet. Here we're going to assemble for you a 48 IDA downdraft carburetor as we do in the shop. The first item in is the inlet valve and check ball for the accelerator pump system, placed in the bottom of the float bowl. The next item installed is the float assembly. Goes in the float bowl. Next, we set the float level using a special tool that's available from Weber. This tool is used to set the stop for the float. A spring is used to hold the float in position while measuring. Using a metal scale or a vernier caliper, you measure the amount that the float stands above the carb body. At this point, we remove the tools used for setting the float and continue with the assembly of the carburetor. On the side, we have two progression port covers. They're primarily used for access when the carburetor is manufactured. These are the idle mixture screws, and we preset them at approximately 1 turn from the seat. Then we have the float bowl drain, which can be used for purging the float bowl if contamination happens while the carburetors are in use. Next, we install the main chokes. And then the auxiliary venturis. Note there's a spring on the side of the auxiliary venturi. It's to determine its proper location at installation. Next, we install the accelerator pump nozzles. They're held in with a rubber O-ring. Next, we install the accelerator pump piston assembly. It's held in place by a brass retaining ring. Next, we install a carb top, first putting the gasket in place, then installing the carb top with the needle and seat. In this demonstration, we're installing the original screws as supplied by Weber. However, all of our systems come with stainless Allen socket head screws. It is important not to over-tighten these screws as you can strip the car body. Next, we install the velocity stacks. They simply slide in and seat on the ring. They are then held in place by the screw and tab and screw. On our systems, these screws are also stainless Allen cap screws. Be sure not to over-tighten this also. Next, we install the fuel inlet screen and cover. With the carburetor fully assembled, we now install a calibrated part, which can be removed and changed without disassembling the carburetor. Here we have the main assemblies. This one's already assembled. We'll assemble this one for you, showing the main jet installed on the bottom of the emulsion tube and the air correction jet assembled on the top of the emulsion tube. The whole unit is held in with the main jet holder. Okay. The main assemblies go into the holes like this. Be careful here not to over-tighten. Next, we install the idle jets. This one's already assembled. This one is a part showing the air portion of the idle jet and the fuel portion of the idle jet. Be sure not to over-tighten these jets either. Now we install the jet cover screen. In doing so, we complete the assembly of a 48 IDA two-barrel downdraft carburetor. This is a complete set of match components to assemble a Weber V8 system. We have the intake manifold, the 4 carburetors, the carburetor mounting hardware, the linkage, including the levers which are presently mounted on the carburetors, and a fuel system. We're going to assemble this system in the same manner in which we do at the shop. This is the front of the manifold. The bell crank for the throttle linkage is mounted to the center post. The rear post is used for mounting the cable housing when the system is installed in the vehicle. We start by installing the bell crank to the center post. The first carburetor mounted is called the drive carburetor because it is the one that is connected to the bell crank. It is mounted on the manifold on a driver's side rear. It's connected to the bell crank with the short rod. The longer rod is connected to the right bank. Note that the end of the rod with the groove cut in it is left-hand thread for ease of adjustment. The linkage connecting rods are mounted to the drive carburetor before it is installed on the manifold. The reason for this is because the bolts are more accessible before the carb is mounted. The bolts were already installed into levers for this demonstration for ease of access. Notice